we starting? Sorry, I'm arguing.
No, you're good.
I'm arguing with someone.
No, you're fine. We can start now. We can wait.
No, you're good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast. Welcome to Praise the Run. Some episode number. We stopped keeping count a while ago.
69.
We're probably
It's
close.
always 69.
We might be close to that.
That's the internet's number.
Well, it was like 40 when we started the channel. It was close to 40, so we're probably close to 60-ish, at least.
Yeah, it feels about right.
Somewhere around there.
We're definitely old. We're definitely close to retirement age.
Yeah. Well, we definitely passed the year mark. I don't remember when that was.
Yeah, I got a year notification in my memories recently, so
Yeah.
it was recently, but
Yeah.
probably within this month.
Probably.
I feel like we started when it was pretty hot.
Well, 52. If we were keeping count with the with the weeks, we skipped weeks. 52 weeks would be technically the year mark.
Yeah, but we definitely skipped. So
Probably like a
probably
year
still
now.
our mid-50s though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyways, it's gonna be a low key episode. There's not really a lot of news or anything, so I didn't really grab anything.
Yeah,
All
I
of
don't
it.
even think I played any video games this week.
No.
I've had a very busy couple weeks. I'm gonna have another busy week this week too. I got so many deadlines
Oh
for
really?
things. Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
I mean, I guess it's exciting. It's more exciting once it's over. Right now, I'm
Right.
just like, I got 5 weeks to write stuff. Not weeks, days. 5 days.
5 days.
Yeah, it was 5 weeks, and now it's 5 days, and I've done the same amount that I did 5 weeks ago. So
Hell yeah.
that's ADHD.
Well, I just woke up.
Nice.
So,
Well, there you go.
hell yeah.
That works.
we're on the same level.
We're really moving it today.
Yeah. I played a little bit of video games, but I didn't play much either.
Yeah.
I don't have any deadlines or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I've just been working out all the time at night.
That's true. I mean, you got a new job, so your schedule's all
So bad, man.
topsy-turvy now, yeah.
Yeah. I've been taking like hour naps all over the place, and then when I do actually sleep, it's like for 3 or 4 hours. And I'm like, oh god, well now I have to work in like 16 hours.
Right. Yeah, you have to get readjusted to the whole thing.
But other than that, I was playing Elden Ring. I'm still trying to get caught up to where I was so I can finish to where the DLC will be, which I was already there, but I still wanted to beat Millennia and stuff before the DLC because the DLC is going to be insane.
Yeah.
But I haven't. They released a new trailer. There's a fly in here. They released a new trailer for it, but I didn't do a reaction video to it. I'll probably end up doing that soon. I haven't uploaded a video in like 2 weeks as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the podcast is the only thing, so it's like I should probably do that. It's been a while.
Yeah, probably.
My allergies have been killer.
Yeah, it's about that time.
Yeah. You feeling good going outside? Because I feel like shit.
I don't feel terrible. I mean, I've been doing some outdoor stuff, like frisbee golf and basketball.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
It's good.
Yeah.
I say I have all these deadlines, but then I still go do that. But I needed, like, outdoor time. Like, because I have 3 days off, and if I don't plan anything for outdoors, I won't leave the house for 3 days straight. I mean, unless I do comedy at night, which, I mean, we talked about that before. It barely feels like you're going out when it's night. Like,
Right.
It's different. It's a different vibe. And plus, I'm just going out to go back into another place, so it's not quite the same. So I'm finding these, like, extracurriculars to kind of just an hour or two to really touch grass, basically, breathe, natural air and not just regurgitated fan air and
I should go.
dust.
I should go do that too. Do you ever go hiking around? Well, I guess not around here, right?
Not hiking, but I mean,
No.
frisbee golf's kind of like hiking. By the time you're done, you've been walking through the woods for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going up any extreme cliffs or anything, but I don't want to do that anyway. So I mean, frisbee golf is basically
Yeah, I guess I don't
a
know.
hiking trail
implies.
with a game involved. So that's basically been my hiking.
I don't really want to go hiking. I want to like just go walk in the woods.
Right. And
for
yeah,
a little
that's
bit.
basically what this is. It's like mostly woods. I mean, depending on where you go, there's a few places that aren't in the woods.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, still, most of it's out. I mean, it's all outdoors, and then most of it's in the woods, and yeah, I mean, it's just a good. And I usually do it in the morning, so I kind of like start my day that
Yeah.
way, get the outdoor stuff, my blood pumping, and then I go back indoors and do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the start of my day is like now.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, now, I mean,
So I mean,
nights are your days.
it would
and
be
vice versa.
fine to go out now. It's like the peak heat of the day, though.
Yeah.
It's just I stepped outside and I had my zip up hoodie that I was just wearing, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm already out here, so I'm just gonna hang out here for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back inside.
Yeah, it's been hot, but it's been like windy, so that's been nice.
Right,
Like
but-
at least I've been able to keep the window open.
I'm working like really close to the water now, so like
Oh right.
when I'm awake and it is hoodie weather. It's like low 50s, mid 50s.
Mhm.
So and it's like mist in the air constantly.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. So I've been used to that, and then I still think it's hoodie weather all the time. I'm like, no, we're here at summer now. We skipped spring,
Yeah.
and it's just hot now. But I don't know. I need to get outside more, and it's good that you're getting outside.
Yeah. At least once a day. Because I mean, I won't leave for anything. I'll just
Yeah.
stock
I feel
up
that.
the night before or before my weekend, and then just sleep, eat everything inside. Like I won't leave
Yeah.
to get food. I won't nothing.
That's my problem, where the only way I get out of the house is to go buy something. It's
No,
like-
see, I don't even do that. I don't, like I'd rather starve sometimes than
Oh, really?
than leave. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's just like
I'll go to Walmart like
So
4
many
times in a
things.
day and be like, yeah, I want this thing now. And then I'll go listen. Because, I mean, for me, when I go drive by myself, I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to put on the podcast and like go hit my dab. And then
yeah.
zone out.
Yeah, I
and
mean, I
drive for
love
a minute.
driving and stuff. It's just now more than ever, like I'm just like saving all my money for bigger
For
things,
travel
and
and stuff, yeah.
I'm just like, do I want to? I could just not drive and save that extra $20 on gas and
Yeah.
use it for something else. Or I don't know.
Yeah, now I'm working 40 minutes away, and then, like,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, like, plan out stuff more. Like, when I leave for work, I have to leave, like, an hour and a half before work, because it's a 40-minute drive out there, but if I want to get anywhere close to food being open,
Right.
I gotta leave early. Sometimes even, like, 2 hours before, depending on what I want. But
Mhm.
then, I mean, I can eat for an hour, and then, like, go fuck off for an hour somewhere else, go get groceries or whatever.
Right.
But I don't know. It is a weird time to be alive, where like and I wake up, it's daytime, and then it's like nighttime for the majority of my day,
Mm.
and then it goes back to being daytime when I go back to bed.
Yeah, and we have really short nights right now too, right? So it's
Yeah.
like extra weird.
Yeah. Usually the sun doesn't go down until like 8:30 or so, and the sun starts coming back up at like 5:30. 5:30. It was coming up on my way home this morning. I was like, oh god. Well, when I get home, the sun will be completely out.
Yeah.
And it was. And the way the driveway is, it's just like directly in your eyes. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna sit here for a minute.
Yeah.
And let the dogs out, and then just out there.
Sorry, I had to clean my glasses.
No, you're good. I'm just thinking of like,
Head sweat.
you know, I didn't really have a plan for this episode. I texted you yesterday because there's the rumor mill of a bunch of video game showcases happening at some point soon. I mean, we don't know when PlayStation's going or Nintendo, but we know that Ubisoft and Xbox so far are gonna have showcases. In like the beginning weeks of June. The rumor was that PlayStation was gonna go before May ended,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's going to happen at this point.
They gotta
We're
wait.
like 5 days. Yeah. So I mean, they would have to announce the showcase or PlayStation State of Play. It'll probably be a State of Play. They would have to announce that within like the next day or so, which anything can happen. Memorial Day was yesterday, so get the holiday out of the way. They do weird ass shit with like announcements for these things and delay them for weird things
Right.
all the time. But I guess the point of this episode, I texted you last night. I was like, try to think of some game predictions. So, do you have any or anything you want to see? Like, we know, yeah, a Nintendo one, a PlayStation one. We're probably gonna see maybe EA show off something. Of course, we'll probably see what From Software is working after Elden Ring. I would imagine sometime this summer. And I'm not just saying like these beginning winks. Like, also we have Gamescom at the end of the summer, and
Yeah.
it could be even a showcase of the later year. But this summer is close.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is anything crazy that you know you want, or we've already seen and you're excited for that you wanted to touch on? Any thoughts?
I mean, I'm still waiting on that Chocolatier game, I think.
Yeah, the honey chocolatier.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what console that'll be for. Probably just
Everything
PC.
probably.
Yeah, you think everything? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Stardew deal.
Oh, I guess, yeah. At this point, Stardew is on everything, too, so why
Right.
not? Yeah. I'm still thinking about when it was just on Steam or whatever.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
But
I mean, was there ever a demo for that game or anything?
I don't know. I got into it probably a year or so late. One of my friends
Okay.
wanted me to play with him online, and then that's how I
Yeah.
got into it, so...
Huh. So, I
But-
mean, there must be, like, some kind of, there must have been some kind of beta or something like that, but I don't...
I imagine maybe something, yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised that there's not, like, kind of like how the Undertale dude did with, like, Deltarune, where he's just releasing it in the chapters.
Right.
I'm surprised there hasn't been something like that where just some build of the game that he's just adding to yet.
Right. Yeah, because he revealed... I feel like he, like, when he first started talking about it, he revealed a good bit.
Yeah.
And, like, there was already, like, not gameplay, but, I mean, all the gameplay
Yeah.
looks the same as the...
Right. I think what he... Well, I mean, it's still one dude,
Yeah.
apparently, but...
I think he has a small team now.
Yeah, but he recently was talking about he, like, burnt out on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was like, I'm gonna go back to Stardew for a while, and, like, 2 or 3 big updates for Stardew just happened.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine that they're still working on that, but I don't know. Yeah, what's the state of that, or how close?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just feel like Stardew was... People are just bombard him with requests, and he's like, well, I can't do both, so I'll just
Right.
stick to the one that's already, you know...
Which I'm surprised that he doesn't just have people just plugging away at that game already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the less people, the more you get, so...
Right. That's definitely true. Yeah, honey chocolate.
And then also on top of that, just, like, trusting other people to create your vision.
Right.
You know? Like, if
Yeah.
you know, when you create a game like Stardew, you're like, well, not only do I have, like, this reputation now, but I can't trust someone else to recreate that.
Right. I'd imagine, I don't know if he would feel like imposter syndrome or anything, but like I'd imagine there's a lot of pressure to follow up Stardew.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Stardew was like his passion project, and it took like 10 years for him to develop by
Right.
himself, and I don't know if it was lightning in a bottle at the right time, you know, it just struck, but maybe
I
maybe
feel
not.
like there
I
was
mean,
a good bit
Stardew
of
still
luck
works.
to get recognized.
Right, for sure.
Because it's not like it was a completely original idea. I mean, it's just a inspiration from whatchamacallit.
From Animal Crossing and Stardew, yeah. And since then we've had multiple good Animal Crossings after.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And then like everyone is making a farming simulating clone.
Mm-hmm.
So like the pivot to this chocolatier thing is a whole new spin on it, but I don't know if that is enough.
Right. Yeah, you could have saw all these clones and been like, man, maybe I don't have any more new ideas or something. Or
Right.
I mean, we don't know if the chocolatier thing is necessarily another farm sim or something altogether entirely, but
Right. It seems more tycoon,
yeah.
closer, like more adjacent to that.
Right.
So I'll give it that, where it's like what those prison architect games or like whatever, a roller coaster tycoon. But it still has like RPG character.
Right. So that's what he'll make something like that, but it'll still have a story behind it. It won't just be like a Factory IO game or whatever where you're
Right. It'll probably have that. It'll probably have like a Stardew section of just farming. Like I can see that.
maybe a small region where you do.
And then it could just be a completely different genre from that game.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, he fiddled with a little bit of everything in Stardew. I mean, it could be completely action fighting based. You're fighting giant chocolate monsters and.
Well, I don't know what they would do for combat, but it's a haunted chocolate.
Right.
Why is it haunted?
Yeah.
What makes it haunted?
Yeah.
Why is it? Is this a horror game that we're not?
That could be the other thing. Yeah. It could.
All right. Back at it. There was a roofing guy here. He needed to check out the roof, as roofing guys do. Anyways, Patrick.
Hey.
Think of. Oh, word.
No, you're good.
Did you think of any other predictions? Because I got one.
You go first.
Where? No, you weren't thinking. No worries. My next prediction for the summer it's a hopeful one, of course, but I really think From Software, their next game is going to be announced. We've been waiting 2 years for DLC for Shadow of the Erdtree. It comes out June 21st. We know that. I think Gamescom or Tokyo Game Show later in the year will be the reveal of the next game. Or it could be even earlier. It could be like, hey, our next game is this, and Shadow of the Erdtree comes out in a week, so play that and look forward to this next one.
That'd be cool.
And they've done that before, because like they announced Elden Ring and then Armored Core shortly after, and then Elden Ring came out, Armored Core came out after that, and then the DLC for Elden Ring is finally coming out. That Armored Core team has been working on something.
Yeah.
Who knows what that is? And I would really like to find out. So I think we're really gonna find out. I don't have a ideal prediction of what they would have, but I think it would be an answer to one of their previous games.
Yeah.
The Armored Core team is also the Sekiro team, and I really think that it's time for the answer of that. I've talked pretty in length of what I want in that on the podcast before.
Right.
But I think we would finally get the answer to that. They ended that game with them going east. And yeah, I don't know. I think
maybe they're gonna combine the two. It'll be like an Elden Ring Sekiro crossover episode.
That would be sick. I don't know if it would be an Elden Ring. I mean, there is a lot of fantastical elements in Sekiro, but I don't know. There's always weird ties into all of the games, or at least references.
Right.
But all of their games are so all over the place time-wise that they could try to tie something.
Yeah, it could be as simple as some weird portal or something.
Oh, yeah.
Some weird
It's like
dimensional being.
right. I mean, Bloodborne is all about like old gods and that stuff. So I mean, all they have to do is really like open like some Cthulhu monster thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a few different ways they could do it. I mean, it would. I feel like it'd be because there's not like a main character in Elden Ring. Like you're not anyone of importance, so it would be
Right.
hard to kind of.
But in Sekiro there is.
Right. So it would have to be like you're following the Sekiro character into some sort of
Yeah.
Elden Ring-ish land, but it couldn't be the Elden Ring land, so it would have to be
Right.
something different.
Right.
So yeah, it would be weird if they tied the two together, but I could definitely see them doing a new Sekiro. It's definitely time.
I mean, I would like that because of I mean, Elden Ring is so massive, and Armored Core isn't a massive game, but you have a lot of variety, and it's very tinkery, and like you can go all over the place with builds and stuff. Sekiro is very get good, and there is no leveling your way out of things. There is no you get one weapon.
Yeah.
Like it's very peeled back compared to their other stuff. Even though the world is expansive and you get like moves that help you and like things on, like you do get some XP, but it's not like more attack. Well, there is that as well, but you get that from like only a main story boss, and like it's just so it puts you on even keel with like the rest of the game, but you don't even have to level up if you don't want to. It really doesn't matter. I really want that team to like peel some of all the extra bullshit out. Like I love From Software, but like Elden Ring, I'm not touching everything in Elden Ring. Like
Yeah.
I'm seeing everything, but like I'm not playing every single magic build and casting every single spell.
I mean, it's not necessarily. I mean, it's more or less that kind of stuff is for like, so there's more variety for people to get into it than necessarily for the same person to do it 40 times. Or,
Right.
I mean, you're gonna have those people, those freaks, and the people that content creators and stuff that are gonna. But
right. I mean,
some people will only beat it maybe once or twice and be mage both times or something. Like.
yeah, I would. My thing with those games is that sometimes it's whatever. It could be like the rock slinging magic spell, and then other times it's a spell that like you need to get into some secret area in the game, and they don't tell you what's what.
Right. Yeah.
Like I mean, like there's like 10 or 20 gestures in the game, but if you don't get one specific gesture, you can't get into the magic doors in all the games.
Right.
And stuff like that. But I mean, we have the community and stuff that would tell you that, but in an age where before the community existed, like you would just have to find everything and do everything. And I mean, it's not that I don't like doing that.
Right.
I just want to see that team go back to like not everything has to be Elden Ring. Like
Right.
pull the community back down a peg. Like Shadow of the Earth Tree is gonna be massive, and it's gonna be it's a $40 DLC. That's a huge expansion.
Yeah.
So I kind of want them to be like know your place kind of thing.
Right.
Like just bring it back down to reality. I keep doing this motion. Yeah, bring it all back down to reality of like if every game is Elden Ring, all these games are gonna take 6 years to make. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
Or we might have one of these in the back burner while we're releasing other games, but like this is one of my favorite studios, so like I would rather not get an Elden Ring every 6 years if it means I can get 4 other small games that are equally as great and just as memorable.
Right.
So that's kind of like where I feel with that. And I would prefer that to be a Sekiro, but they've surprised me with new IP countless of times. And I would love that.
Yeah, they could have a whole different thing in the works.
Yeah, it could just be Armored Core 7. I would be completely fine with that too. There was an interview recently that got translated that Miyazaki had of saying Armored Core is not done. They plan on going back to Armored Core. So how soon that will be is yet to see. Maybe they just hired up a complete Armored Core team just so they start pumping those out.
That'd be cool.
And that would be sick. I mean, there is room. The mech combat market is not a huge market, so there is room for Armored Core out there.
True.
And if they're on the quality of 6 every time, I think they're in good hands.
Yeah.
So that's where I am on that. Not really a crazy prediction, but a hopeful one. I've had like the worst allergies this week, dude. Like, I don't know what happened. I feel like a kid again. Like,
everything
my lips are chapped. And
the
stuff.
last like week and a half, everything just kind of bursted. Like, all the plants are bloomed, all the leaves are green, all the grass is 20 feet high.
Right.
All the pollen is in the air. So yeah, I totally get it. Like,
yeah, my face is draining, and then like the other day at work, I like bit my lip, and then all of a sudden, like the whole thing the next day was like fat and like chapped and dry, and I was like, what the fuck? And then now my head is like draining constantly.
yeah, I feel that.
I predict me getting over these allergies in a week. That would be
That'd be nice. Yeah, get some of that. Some of that vitamin C shot or whatever it's called.
Well, I have a bunch of vitamin C right there that I need to take. I should be taking my vitamins. I've been slacking the last couple of days, but I usually take them every day. Vitamins. I'm not a big Flintstones vitamins person. I always preferred gummy vitamins. So I just get like a bunch of gummy vitamins, and it's like eating fruit snacks.
Yeah, you just chew them all up.
Yeah, it's great.
Throw an edible in there.
Yeah, it's delicious. You have another prediction? I mean, it doesn't have to be a prediction. Remember, it could be like, we could just talk about like, I don't know, the perfect dark game or whatever. What are you excited for in general that we do know about?
It's tough because I'm just so behind already in games. Like, I feel like
Right.
there's games that I want to play that are out that I can't even tell myself are out yet because I'm so far behind.
Right.
And thinking of games that aren't even out yet are like, it's tough because I'm not even caught up, you know. I never will be. There's more games than human time.
Yeah.
But
I mean, some big ones, I mean, that come to mind. We're going to see Skate, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
We're
that's
going to
true.
see that.
That's true. I haven't played any skates, though.
Smite 2.
Yeah.
Is probably going to be there with the PC gaming showcase. We're probably going to see a bunch of stuff. That Vampire the Masquerade 2. Probably see finally what that game looks like. Because that game moved over to the Chinese room, is the name of that developer, which is doing that game Still Wakes the Deep. Which is... That Still Wakes the Deep is the first-person horror game that takes place on an oil rig.
Oh, right.
Remember, it's coming to Game Pass. That developer, they also did the second Amnesia, not the first or the third, but the second one, the Machine for Pigs.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I have all those from.
Something else. I think
Yes.
Did you ever play Everyone's Gone to the Rapture? I think that's another game by them as
I
well.
don't think so.
That's a old indie style. It's like 3 hours long. It's worth playing.
Oh,
It's
really?
a cute little. It's not straight up horror. It's like a creepy, everyone's dead, ghostly, walking through people's houses kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a weird trip, but that game's cool. All their games are cool, but this is the first game where it feels like, I mean, one, they've taken over the development of it, um, but this is the first like game where they've had like a massive budget. It seems like.
Oh, really?
I when I say massive, I guess it's relative. It's not gonna be like Spider-Man where it's a $250 million budget, but
Right.
this game's definitely over $100 million now, just because of the length of development it's
word.
been in. Not to say this studio has spent that much money, but like since it's been in development with multiple other studios, there's been a lot of money dumped in this game. How many times that's been scrapped over and redone? Like, probably a few.
Yeah.
There's probably no remnants of that original Vampire the Masquerade. The original showing was 4 or 5 years ago. It was close. It was the E3 of when I started this channel.
Wow.
And they showed it off, and I compared the character models to like The Sims. It's like,
Oh, wow.
and now with this developer, it's a first-person game that looks like Dying Light.
Oh, weird. That's a big difference.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
But also, like the IP of the Vampire the Masquerade has kind of ballooned quite
Yeah.
a bit. I mean, like, there's like 10 or 12 visual novels that are out now. I mean, like, the Masquerade 2 was definitely supposed to come out several years ago and never did. And then all of these ancillary titles were supposed to come out after. But instead, what happened, all of the ancillary shit has came out and has gotten super popular.
Yeah.
And then this game has gotten forgotten.
Wow.
Yeah. It's very strange, but this is the big one because this is the first Vampire the Masquerade is kind of a cult classic from like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's like, it's a hardcore, like, Deus Ex, like, but in the vampire world. Like, it's a CRPG. It's like a straight up computer RPG, but it's like closer to like, not, I want to keep like saying Half-Life. It just came out around the same time as Half-Life. It's not like Half-Life, but it's like Fallout.
Yeah.
It's a close example of that, like a Fallout 3, but
sounds cool.
well before Fallout 3.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool game, and it's playable on PC and stuff, but I'd imagine any potato PC could run it because it's just been out forever, you know? It's one of those games that, like, used to run on DOS, so,
Oh, wow.
like, yeah, I would imagine it could run on pretty much anything.
Yeah.
But as of a prediction of what that game is, I don't know.
Yeah.
In 2024, I don't know what the second one is supposed to be, who this is for at this point.
Right.
The fans of the franchise are fans of the visual novels and the tabletop RPG that is built around this universe, and like, I forgot what the World of Darkness, I think is what it's called, is the overall like franchise thing. But they've also had like werewolf games, and like they have a battle royale out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's called like Bloodfang or something like that. It's straight up vampire battle royale that's like people jumping across rooftops and stuff like that.
Just vampire into that.
It's huge. It was really popular. I shouldn't say it still is. It was. I don't know if it's still popular. It's still going. I haven't heard an announcement of it shutting down. Yeah, it's a very strange IP that's been there for a while. And I don't know if this is going to be the the big celebration for it this
Yeah.
summer, but we're definitely going to see it, and we're definitely going to have a date for it. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, they cannot show this game without a date, and
Right. Yeah, it's been long enough.
it's a big, yeah, a huge, insane amount of time for what this game is supposed to be. And, like, I don't know what the size of the developers were or whatever back then, but, like, they made some lofty promises with that original director. That original director is not there anymore. He left, like, a year into development and
That's
stuff.
crazy.
Like, it's definitely has some rocky water.
Games are so crazy. Like, if
Yeah.
you, like, put together a movie or, like, I mean, I guess movies change directors, too, but, like, write a book, you know, like, you have, it's just that one person that's creating this vision, and then, like, a video game's just like, all right, here it is, and it's just a group of people hoping
Right.
if they piece it together good enough that it's something.
Right, and then, like, there's trouble I mean, the movie thing is that there's troubled sets and there's troubled development
Right,
as
yeah,
well.
that's true.
Like,
I mean, I guess the one person wrote the script, and then people are just kind of recreating that, so I guess that is different, but...
well, I mean, that there's rewrites and punch-ups and all of that still exists.
That's
Like,
true, yeah.
there's still, that is still a team effort. And you're right there. But it's an all across the board. And just, like, development on both projects that's sometimes it's 3 or 4 people, but more than likely it's 20, 30, 40, 50 to a few hundred people.
Right.
Like, there was some developer that was really surprised at their numbers. I think it might have been like Ubisoft or something like that, where they're at like 60, 70,000 people employed.
Wow.
That is a small country. Like,
Right.
you know, that's a huge amount of people.
Most of them.
Yeah, like, and same thing with Microsoft. Like, they can fire 10% of their staff, and that's like well over. It was like, what, over the last like 2 years, it's somewhere between like 6,000 or 7,000 people, 9,000. It's an insane amount of people. And that's just the game development side. That's not the overall like software production and all of that kind of stuff. But with developments and stuff like that, like movies and stuff, we hear all the time of like directors. This new Ford Coppola movie is a grand example of like people are like, this is like what it was one of the worst shoots that people have been in a very long time.
Oh, dang.
And that dude is famous for that. He made Apocalypse Now, which is one of the most infamous movie sets of all time. Like, it's like The Exorcist is famous for people dying. Apocalypse Now is famous for everybody just getting the shit kicked out of them with like weather, shit just blowing up, shit like going wrong, people getting sick.
Wow.
They're stranded in the middle of Vietnam. Like, weather conditions were horrible. People getting trench foot. Like,
Jeez.
yeah, when that was the 70s, that was crazy shit.
Yeah.
So for Ford Coppola to still be directing and then his most modern movie to be like a horrible filming experience for people.
Right, like he didn't learn anything.
Oh no, he's learned most things. This Ford Coppola is also like part of like the Godfather lineage and stuff like that.
Oh, word.
The dude made his millions off wine. That's what he's famous for.
Oh, okay.
But he spends all of his wine money on making movies. Nobody wanted to pick up this new movie, so he funded it himself.
Wow.
And it was $100 million out
That's
of
how you
pocket.
do it.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the story with Apocalypse Now as well, from my understanding. That I haven't thought about that movie since film school, but that's a crazy story. That is more interesting to watch, like the documentaries of how that movie is made. That's a good movie, but I think the documentaries for how that movie is made is way more interesting. Yeah, especially from a production like crazy side, not just the stories alone, but just like the practicality of getting like dog fighting scenes and stuff like that.
Right.
Not like dogs, but like planes fighting each other and stuff. Like that kind of stuff. It's a crazy movie. But same thing with game development. Game development's crazy, and game development can go completely smooth 100% of the way through, and you can still get a shit product out.
Yeah, that's true.
Same thing with a movie. You could have the best time filming a movie. It doesn't mean you're gonna have a great movie. It's kind of a fucking miracle that anything is good, let alone a video game. Like there is no practical effects in a video game.
Right.
You can make an FMV game technically, but like to make ones and zeros communicate with each other and then get animations and stuff, it's a fucking miracle.
Right.
And like, as much as I do shit on people for making bad games, like, it's still, there's so much respect for any of it. Because I mean, like, I don't have the wherewithal to tell you on, like, I don't know how to do keyframes and stuff like that, let alone like make a 3D model or something like that, you know. It's crazy. So like, for Vampire the Masquerade, it is, let alone like the assets and stuff changing and stuff like that, like the game has most definitely fundamentally is not the same as what it was. So I don't even know what there is to look forward there anymore, because like, it's definitely not a third person RPG anymore.
Right.
The last time we saw it, it was first person. So I don't know.
All they kept is the name. It's just completely different.
Yeah, it almost looked like Dying Light. Like, they showed off, like, a bunch of parkour in first person and, like, a hand-to-hand combat, but they didn't show any, like, character trees or, like, dialogue options and, like, you know, class roles and, like, you know, like, what's it, skill checks and stuff. Like, that's the kind of shit that I know Vampire for.
Right.
That wasn't in the trailer at all.
Huh.
It wasn't the original one. I mean, kind of. They kind of more showed off, like, the world of Vampire the Masquerade, of, like, these are the different types of vampires. You got your clubbies, you got your alleyway vampires, you got your sewer, dark, brooding ones. You got the ones that live, like, rich and famous lives. You got the ones that live, like, dirty, gutter lives.
Right.
This kind of like a mix of all that, and that's kind of like what the first game was about. But this one, who knows at this point? It's been a long time.
Right.
It's also, it's like the Saints Row thing as well. It kind of reminds me of that, where like it took forever for that reboot to come out, right?
Right.
And then that switched developers as well.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Because originally it was supposed to be made by the team that did the first four.
Yeah.
And the Agents of Mayhem. And it was still going to be like that adult swimmy side of stuff.
Right.
And then that studio got shut down. I forgot what their name, Deep Silver, I think their name was back then. They got shut down, and then that got taken over by Starbreeze, I believe. That's the team. And they did like Homefront: The Revolution, I think was the game that they did before.
Wow.
And they're also like ex-Payday people. But they took over the development as well. Am I getting that right? Was it Starbreeze? Or was it Volition? Might have been Volition. His Volition got shut down after. That sounds right. Volition took it over. And Volition made, shit, what did Volition make, dude? I don't remember. They made a couple of other games. The Homefront people were the people who made Dead Island. They took over that game. That's the story I was thinking of with them, is that the Dead Island team was Techland, who was the people who did Dying Light. And Dead Island 2 never got finished, so I believe Starbreeze or Deep Silver also took over that one. and then whenever they shut down as well, the Homefront people would end up taking Dead Island.
Huh.
Dead Island 2 came out amazing.
Yeah.
Saints Row did not.
Right.
So, I mean, Dead Island 2 is not like a 10 out of 10 game, but like people like that game.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I was playing it. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, like Saints Row had people that liked it somewhat, but very much not for the most part. And they've done like DLC and stuff.
They've made so many of them too, and they're not even like too different.
Right. I mean, the first two are very different than the second, the third, and the fourth game.
Yeah.
The first two are very much like a GTA clone.
Right.
Or it's still like, yeah, cops and robbers and like
Yeah, you got the
pimps
different
and gangsters
gangs and the colors and the
And the third one got picked up by Adult Swim, and then Adult Swim got a hold of it and made it like all purple and like a casino. There's the TV game where it's like a dungeon crawler thing where you're like just shooting dudes with a shotgun. They're all like dressed up in mascot uniforms and stuff.
Oh, I don't remember.
Like there's some crazy. That's also where the purple dildo comes from. And all
I feel like those
stuff.
are still like GTA realm though. Even if they're goofier, that's still like
right.
Like a Simpsons hit and run.
But GTA is still like GTA is satire. That's the difference of like where.
Yeah, and Saints Row is like satire of that satire.
Right, I wouldn't even say it's Saints Row is just straight up like slapstick.
Right, it's like the South Park of GTA. Or
right, something. Versus like GTA, I would put on more of like a. I mean, it has crazy moments, but it's like King of the Hill compared to like South Park. Of
yes,
like
yeah.
Different types of comedy. They're both outlandish, but they're GTA where like. You still have, like, The Lost and the Damned and, like, stuff like that. Where, like, I still play, like, the Franklin, Trevor, Micah story. And, like, there's still some serious-ass shit. In Saints Row, there's none of that.
Yeah.
Saints Row, I'm chasing down a helicopter, completely butt-ass naked with a backpack that's also a gummy bear.
I've always just imagined that Saints Row is just... everything GTA couldn't do, they just gave to Saints Row. That's how I've always pictured it. Like, Saints Row is literally just the cousin of GTA in my brain.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I saw the first two for sure, and that's where the third one became that identity of like it didn't just like turn it up, it just like broke the knob completely.
Right.
It's just like, nah, fuck that. We're not even gonna try to be GTA anymore. We're just gonna do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then GTA Online was kind of the answer of that. It was like, well, we don't want to do everything, but we're going to give the players the ability to do everything.
Right, yeah.
And then people have ran with that. You can go to an RP server and people will have like completely like comedy outlandish shit going on in one thing, or you have the other side
infinite amount of creations now.
Yeah. I mean, like, same thing with, like, Fortnite or whatever. Like, a lot of those games with Saints Row and stuff is, like, a lot of comedy is very hard because a lot of the jokes are written so far in advance. Like, written jokes are hard in general. I mean, it's hard to make an evergreen joke. And then when it's a video game about a specific time period as well, like, Saints Row and GTA and stuff are very much of their time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, Saints Row, a modern Saints Row, I don't know how you... The world is more strange than... is stranger than fiction, is the term. So, like, I don't know, you can't really do that anymore because, like, a lot of the games just allow you to do everything.
Right, know? Yeah, how do you can't do more than everything.
Right. It used to be cool that there was... I mean, it's still pretty fun to go back and play Saints Row 3 with the game show thing, or stuff like that. But then, like, you know, there's still, like... I can make my Saints Row character from that original this original trilogy or whatever in whatever game I want, and then go do whatever I was doing in that as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably a GTA server where somebody's putting on some weird game show thing, or if not that, a VR chat or wherever, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of that didn't exist back then. Especially, I mean, the third one was the 360 era. So, I don't know. That was a weird tangent. That's not really a prediction. What I would predict out of all of that is we're going to see another Rockstar game. I think that we're going to... I think Rockstar putting out a game every 7 years or so is really getting to them. And I think that they're going to pivot into making multiple games again. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
There's been, I mean, they've been toying around with a lot of like remasters and things, and they're definitely going to do like a GTA 4 remaster. Like, that's coming.
Right.
How soon that's coming, I don't think that's going to be before GTA 6.
No.
I think that's after GTA 6. I do think, on the other hand, that we will see something along the lines of, like, Bully or The Warriors or that level of game again from them, where it's a lot smaller.
I could definitely see a new Bully.
Yeah. I mean, Bully 2 has been rumored and canceled and started back up and canceled back all over again a few times.
Yeah.
I could definitely see them. They never announce things early. I mean, early is relative, I guess, to them. Because they'll announce something 2 years in advance, but it doesn't feel like it's early when they announce something. It's like,
right.
Shit, well, that's the next thing that they're working on. But I don't think... I think a Bully 2 is definitely in development. I think, or at least being in the rumor, in the pitches, in the writing aspect. I think there is something there still.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't know how far along that could be. That would be a huge one.
Yeah.
That would be along the lines of that would be just as big as a GTA or a Red Dead 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Bully 2 would be a great new addition.
Yeah. The rumor with that has always been that you're going to college. Is that a university at Bullsworth? Is that what it's called?
Something bull related.
Yeah. A university Bully game. But then it's like, well, then you're just like, you're an adult. So, how do you make that game, like, the appeal to Bully is that there's some childlike kind of nature.
Right, you're not thinking of murder.
Yeah.
There's no murdering.
Right.
And sex is even kind of like not quite there. Like,
right.
Like the most is like sneaking into a dorm room, and even that's kind of like risque.
Right. There's like a truth or dare kissing thing inside of.
Exactly. So how do you enter college without like
making it too vulgar?
Straight
or
up, just get into GTA again.
Yeah. So I do think that's always been the hard part with that. Of like, how do we make it where it's not just like, yeah, you're just playing a shitty 20-year-old at some point.
Right. I think that's why they kind of leaned into the private school thing to begin with, to kind of keep it a little more like private schools have structure, so you have to be a little more like on top of things to be here and stuff.
Right, and you do your classes and stuff. And also mini games were super popular back then.
Yeah.
You could still do mini games in 2024, and I mean, Final Fantasy is a huge example of that for sure. I would really like that. I just crazy. I don't know what you would do with all of that, because like if also I'm an adult inside of college, like would I even show up to class if I'm going out robbing banks
Right.
and
Well,
shit?
that's yeah. I mean,
What am I doing?
I'm sure there'll be some sort of because you didn't technically have to go to school in Bully. I mean, I think you could have. I think you could have skipped classes. You just
Yeah.
fail,
Right.
and then you don't get certain things for that or whatever.
Right. I think you get like XP and stuff too, right?
You get like a
there's,
lot of
a
extra
skill tree.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the skill tree. That's where it comes into play. Where like if you pass the classes, you earn things to help
Right.
in the future. But so
Yeah.
they could do something like that where like maybe you don't have to go to school, but you're not going to get any of the
Right.
thing. You're not going to get the good ending or something. And also, how do they play into that meta where they're like making fun of the real world in the game, especially now when like so much school is on the computer online.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a huge part as well. And I think the answer to that would be like, I don't know, they've made cool browser based games that are very good, like Hypnospace Outlaw and stuff like that are all excellent games of like, I mean, Hypnospace Outlaw is like 90s style computers and stuff, but I don't know how you'd make that interesting for a Rockstar game other than it just being like maybe a mini game or like just like side things of like looking through a computer or something like that. But you're right, like a lot of interactions are just online now. But again, I don't know what a school is like. I haven't been to a high school in
Right.
12 years, man.
Yeah.
It's been a 13 years. You know, I haven't been inside of a public school in a very long time. Yeah, so I don't know what it's like to be
I
honest.
can't imagine. And now you have all these, and I feel I feel like that's probably one of the hardest parts is like trying to keep up because you want to make it seem like it's today's age or whatever. Unless you make it a period piece and you put it like high school in the '80s or something. If you're trying to make a modern day high school, there's so many like trends that are constantly flying. By the time you make the game, you're 12 trends behind. You know, like is TikTok even going to be popular by the time they make a?
Right, especially if if these games are taking 7-8 years to make, right?
So I feel like that's probably a bigger issue as well. Like how many of these game makers have also not been in school for 12 plus years?
Right.
And, you know.
Yeah.
What's the process of making a adult oriented high school game?
Right. Let alone if not high school, a college game or whatever.
Maybe you'll be the professor this time or something, you know? Maybe that'll be like a different...
Right. And Persona's having trouble with the same concept in a different style of RPG as well, of like, do we make another game with high schoolers in it? Do we age these characters up? What do modern high schools in Japan look like nowadays? Like, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to argue that 90% of the material that they make over there is based off of high schoolers, but maybe they're finally, after decades, they're finally running out of ideas on how to make a Asian girl in a miniskirt. I don't know.
Yeah, with Persona, it's that this is the new one's the 6th one.
Yeah.
In the franchise, and they have games that aren't about high schoolers in the other series.
Right.
Persona was a spin-off series from the mainline SMT games.
Right.
So for them to even be this far into the series was crazy to begin with. Their next game is completely fantasy, like super high fantasy stuff.
All right.
That it's like Metaphor Refantasio or whatever. We've seen it a couple of times. That'll be on Game Pass later this year. But then Persona 6 is supposed to be announced like within the next month or so. And I think we might finally get a Persona game where it's all people in their early 20s. a lot of your character interactions are in a coffee shop anyways.
Yeah.
Instead of Persona 5, so like you might as well just like I don't know, make
Boost
that
them
the
up
normal
a couple
thing.
more years. They're just in college or
Right.
young adults.
And that they can write. I mean, they've written young adult characters before well. And there's the Catherine game as well. I forgot what the other one that they released, but Catherine is amazingly well written.
Yeah.
I love that game. The puzzles I can take or leave, but like the actual story of that game is really good. Yeah, I got Persona 6 is definitely soon. I don't really have, I was gonna bring it up. It's not really a prediction, but like we know that's been leaked and stuff. Is like character art has leaked or concept art, and then like there was something with the characters that the numbers of where the characters. It's really hard to explain. So there's a poster of all the characters from the games, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have your 5 main characters, and then in that they arrange the characters a certain way, and the Persona team found that the characters were standing next to a green paint bucket, and that the characters and the numbers that those games lined up make the hex code of that same color green, which made them find out that the green is the next color of the Persona games.
Oh, okay.
So there's been a bunch of green key
like
art.
Deep. I mean, yeah, they have to do a new color every time, and they've already
Right.
done the blue and the red gold and so
Yeah.
it makes sense that they would have a new green or a new colored theme.
Yeah.
That's a cool way to do it, though. Yeah.
Who knows if that's what they were doing, though? That's just the Persona. That's the community running.
I mean, it couldn't have been a coincidence. You can't just coincidentally come up with that. Hex codes are pretty complex.
Right, but the way it was like this green paint bucket and the numbers of the games that these characters will line up in make a hex code that matches that same green.
It's
in the
too
paint
much of a
bucket.
coincidence. There's no way it wasn't done on purpose.
It's a very
Hex codes are for colors, they're very sensitive. Like
Right.
you could replace one number and it goes
It
from
changes,
green to
yeah.
brown.
Right.
So there's no way that's a coincidence. If it is, it's the biggest coincidence
Yeah.
ever. It's creative. I don't see how they thought a ton of people would have thought of that, but I guess like the true fans would have been like, well, that's a weird
Yeah.
color that's never been in a game before or
Right.
something, you know.
Yeah, that's a very peculiar green to have in a bucket of paint. That's
it-
nowhere else in the poster
Right.
as well.
It's definitely like a more creative Easter egg, if that's what you can call it, or whatever. Like
Yeah,
some
it's
sort of
something.
like, if you know, you know. If you don't,
Yeah.
you'll find out eventually, and then you'll look back and be like, "Oh, I was there the whole time."
Right.
It's one of those type
It's
of things.
like the Kojima trailer with that OD trailer.
Right.
We were looking for stuff but like people were like going frame by frame and found like words and letters imprinted into the background of
that's like
the frames and stuff. And
when
it's
they-
like, what the fuck?
That's like when they dropped the new Borderlands a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
So much hidden stuff. Just in the like title card, there was
Right.
like all these different hidden characters and symbols and the way things were lined up, and then there was a ton of like Easter eggs in that too. So
Yeah.
I can definitely see this just being another like look forward to just a little little mini ARG type thing.
For
you know,
sure.
like,
With the Kojima thing, it might even be like the answer to the puzzle inside the game itself.
yeah.
Like, fuck, dude. Do you remember some of the puzzles in PT? Like, some of the crazy bullshit that you have to do in that game?
Kind of. I know
Kind
you
of.
gotta like touch there's like. Yeah, I can think of them visually, but I can't say them out loud. But I'm like envisioning the run.
So there's...
Because I know you have to go touch a couple things and go back or something.
Right.
There's like a part where you have to go in the bathroom at one point.
So there's pieces of There's fragmented pieces of a picture, right?
Yeah.
So scattered throughout this whole demo thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to look at a certain piece of pixel for it to appear.
Mm.
But you have to stare at it for a certain amount of time for it to appear.
Right.
Because the camera has an idle animation where it kind of like focuses in on something.
Yeah.
So you have to stand there for a few seconds. Not only is there some scattered in through the whole thing, the final piece is inside the menu of the settings.
Oh, wow.
So you have to go to your options in your settings and then figure somehow that you can zoom into the picture that you're looking at, and a piece of the actual game will appear.
Huh.
Of like, hey, you found this piece of picture, and it's like a complete jump scare. That's one of the smaller ones.
Right.
The big ender of that game is you have to yell into the microphone.
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah, and you have to say the character's name. The Jareth, I think it's the husband that killed everyone.
Right.
You have to say his name 6 to, I think it's 26 times. It's just random, and a certain trigger will happen, and then you have to do a complete new lap, and then it will finally end the game.
Right.
And
yeah.
then you get the reveal of like, hey, this is Silent Hills.
Right, you finally walk out or whatever, and
Yeah.
you're in the rainy streets.
Yeah, you're in the rainy streets, and then it fades to black, and then it does the credits, and then it shows Norman Reedus as James with the flashlight. Yeah, and that's when they finally reveal it being a Silent Hill game that whole time.
Right.
But there's some crazy shit in that. I mean, the looping hallway where you have to like walk backwards a certain amount of times.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to keep reversing it back and forth to do it. Like a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, it really makes you think outside of like the normal video game parameters. Like.
Yeah, and it's supposed to like build with that stuff. It's supposed to like you're supposed to be sharing information, but at some point it's like I don't know what information was shared here. It's like cheat codes back in like the 90s or something like that. It's like the only reason why cheat codes existed back in the 90s is so they could send it to some book publication and then it can be, mentioned, or something like that. Like, there's no reason like that people are going to find that this random set of letters was going to create a big head mode or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless if there was like some developer was like, hey, I put this in if you type this in kind of thing.
Right, unless it was in the game and it tells you.
Right. I mean, we still find stuff in games 20 years later all the time.
Yeah,
and like,
absolutely. It's mostly what I watch is things on YouTube of people still finding stuff.
Right. Like the Batman one's the most famous example of that, where it was like 15 years later they finally found in Arkham, I think it's Arkham Asylum, maybe it's Arkham City. In Arkham City, there is a hidden room inside of the police station that you can't see from like your X-ray vision or anything like that. You just have to know it's there, and then you can put up the goo and blow up the wall, and it reveals Arkham Knight. Just like it's all there of like the next game. The next game doesn't come out for like, I think Arkham Knight was 2011, or Arkham City was 2011. Arkham Knight was until 2015, 16.
Wow.
And it was just all there. Just like the whole reveal of like what the next game was there the whole time.
That's crazy.
And there was another one pretty recently too. I think it might have been a Kojima one. But yeah, there's just stuff like that.
Yeah. Like we'll be finding secrets in Elden Ring for the next few decades.
Yeah, no, not a chance. I mean, they also like just throw random shit in all the time.
Right.
Like
And they don't even tell you. They'll be like, it's an update, figure it out.
Right, right. I mean,
Is it balance or is it another secret?
right, and with something as like Elden Ring, there's people scraping for that shit constantly. Like any
Yeah.
change of just like code.
That is one thing that makes it a tad easier, is that there are people that you can do that to a degree to find things.
Yeah.
It's
And-
not like you're not like just trial and error the whole time.
Right, and it does kind of ruin the fun of like the trial and error stuff, but like it is comfortable to know that like, yeah, there is somebody always looking out for that stuff.
Right.
But like, yeah, people find shit all the time, and like, it'll be something as small as like character dialogue is changed completely in the game or something like that.
Yeah, there's just one extra line if you hold this sword or something.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, they did that to like, was it the sun dude or whatever? The guy, you find him, he's on a bridge and he's just doing the pose. I remember him not speaking at all at the original game, and then much later he finally speaks. He has a bunch of shit to say now.
Oh, really?
He has a bunch of crazy shit to say now. Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, he talks about like the sun and stuff like that, and the tree and what's beyond life and stuff like that.
Huh.
Kind of like
I'll have to watch that one.
a lot of philosophy shit. But yeah, he's like this just all. He's like a withered old white dude, but then he has a giant golden sun mask on covering his face. But yeah, he just sits there silently and poses, and then you just run up to him. I don't know if I had to trigger something for him.
Doesn't
to
he
do
give
that.
you a pose to begin with, like when you first meet
Yes.
him? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he gives you the poses that he's doing.
That's right, yeah.
And then yeah, you can talk to him later. I'm pretty sure, and he'll have a bunch of shit to say. Yeah, I don't remember what triggered what. If I did something different. But I just remember at one point he didn't speak, and then another point he had a bunch to say, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. You didn't say any of that last time, man.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
They just give characters more, or new, or more dialogue.
Yeah. And I want to... I mean, with the DLC coming and stuff like that, I'd imagine that they're also going to put stuff in the main game.
I'm sure everyone will have a little bit more, not everyone, but like the main people will probably have a little bit more to say. If there's any tie-in, depending on what kind of tie-in the DLC actually has, if it's how relevant it is to the situation or whatever.
Right.
Because they can't... I mean, are they going to treat this DLC like it's always been there, and we just now have access to it? Or is this like a new development to this world, and the surviving creatures around it now have more opinions on it, you know?
This seems like a memory thing. Like a lot of DLC in Dark Souls and stuff.
Yeah.
They have these things called the Painted Worlds.
Okay.
In Dark Souls, there are these characters that, when the world finally burns out and ends, a painter comes and makes a new world for the living and creates this new thing.
Oh, okay.
And that's a reoccurring theme in all of these games of Dark Souls, of like you going into a painted world and like finding this whole new existence and this whole new living thing. It kind of feels like that, but a lot of this game is taken place well before Elden Ring happened. With like Mikola and stuff like that. Mikola's dead in the game.
Yeah.
And he's at the end, spoilers for Elden Ring. We're just gonna say that now. So you burn the tree, right? And you go away to Farum Azula. You come back down, and then you can finally go face like, or actually, you might not even have to burn the tree at this point. You could just go fight Captain Neil, and go down to the bottom part of the mountains on your way to like Mikola and stuff. If you go down there. There is a portal that takes you underground to the other part of the Noxtella area.
Yeah.
When you're in the Siofra River well, there's two locations you can see at the original well location. You can see Noxtella, which is above you, and then you can see the Blood Palace, which is to the right of you, and it's very far away. Blythe talks about the Blood Palace a little bit, and then you kind of just forget about it at that point. Well, once you finally defeat Nile, you get a piece of an elevator that goes down to the bottom of the thing. You take a teleport that's kind of hidden, and it brings you to the Blood Palace. The Blood Palace, you fight Moog, who is the brother of Mogwin.
Yeah.
And, what's his fuck? Mogwin and the projection of the dude that you fight at the beginning of the game. The horn dude and stuff. You remember he has the cane and then turns into like a magic axe and stuff like Margit.
Yeah, Margit.
So Margit is a projection.
A lot of M names.
Yeah. Well, because they're twins.
Oh, yeah.
So Margit isn't real.
Right.
Margit is a projection of Mogwin.
Right.
Mogwin is not the first Elden Lord, but he is really high up in the Elden Kingdom.
Yeah.
So to speak. I don't know what the term, the Round, I think is what they're called. He's like the ruler of the group. So Margit, you beat him. Mogwin, you beat him. Moog is the twin brother of Mogwin, who has been exiled to the Blood Palace after just getting into some heinous shit. And he's all about sacrifice and stuff. You go down there and it's like rivers of blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And then there's also like crows and rotting stuff everywhere because it's just a wasteland of filth. He's guarding Mikola.
Yeah.
His first love is Mikola. He's in love with Mikola. So there is a giant egg behind him.
Right. That
Mikola is kind of like being reformed in.
Yeah, he's like dangling out of it or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a shot in the DLC. I don't remember if it happens in the game, but in the trailer for the DLC, there is a shot of you grabbing the hand.
Okay.
So I'd imagine you're going to be pulled into some painted world memory scenario of like a world that Mikola thrives in.
Yeah.
A lot of the key art that we've seen is like the blonde girl riding a horse or whatever. That's not a girl, it's Mikola.
Right.
And there's a lot of golden fields and stuff like that. So it looks like a time well before like a lot of the sickness and stuff kind of happened. And maybe it's kind of like the birth of all of it.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe it'll take place across all of the time.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That a lot of Dark Souls 3 specifically kind of focuses on that, where like the end of Dark Souls 3 is every single timeline converging in on itself, to the point where like kind of like how Noxtella looks in Elden Ring, where like there's buildings everywhere.
Yeah.
In Dark Souls 3 is like that because every single timeline is converging in on itself.
Oh, wow.
Where it's just like buildings colliding with each other, like from all different directions and stuff. There's just like dirt and burning soot everywhere. That's maybe we're going that direction. I don't think we're going that far into it.
Right.
But I can see them kind of bending the rules of their timeline with it. making a circle, a ring, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a big theme.
Yeah.
Circles.
An Ouroboros, as you will, of like renewing the timeline. There's a lot of that in Dark Souls as well. I mean, that is the whole theme of the game is, are you going to reignite the flame?
Yeah.
That is your job. That is your destiny as the Tarnished, or as the what is it called? Ashen One. As the Ashen One.
Yeah.
In Dark Souls, is for you to reignite the flame, but the kind of moral dilemma is that, is this world worth keeping going? Is this
Right.
all of this suffering? And,
Especially after you suffered for 100 hours, it's like, no.
right.
I want this whole thing to be destroyed, and I'm gonna throw this disc across the field because I'm so mad.
Right. The Elder Ring, there's this world order, and you've been thrown into this group that is telling you that these things are great and that is all for the greater good, and then you end up finding out that might not be the case.
Yep.
And that the Erdtree might be the reason why all these people are dying in the first place.
Right.
So when you finally take care of that and burn it down or whatever, I don't know if, I mean, you can't beat the game without doing that. You have to, in order to fight the last boss. You don't really have a choice. But from there, do you continue on, the name of the Elden Lord? Like, what does that
Right.
mean when the Erdtree is gone, kind of thing?
It's gonna get really dark.
Right. I technically never finished the game, so I can't. I've also never seen the endings, so I have completely stayed dark on this for my own good. So I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I knew this DLC was coming, so it was kind of like
Right.
I don't want to fight. These DLCs are always mid game, and this so happens that this Mikola, like the Moog fight, is not just like midway through the game. It's like that's like 80% of the way
So
through.
that's almost done.
Yeah,
the
you're
last
real
chunk.
close. Yeah. Depending on what you've done up to that point, you could either pretty much go on the, and you have like one major area or two major areas if you stay the main path, or you could go to that side path. Once you start a new game plus in those games, you're not just getting all your stuff. It doubles the health pool of every enemy, and
Right.
it doubles the damage of every enemy.
Right. Yeah, you actually have to work for it.
Right. And you make it extremely hard on yourself. So then that means you're going to the DLC that's 80% of the way through for the first time.
Yep.
With double health and double damage. And that's just fucked. Especially with like Bloodborne. The Bloodborne DLC is the hardest boss fight I have ever fought in a game.
Really?
Ever. Yeah, I know some people are kind of like I would say it's up there. Like the Orphan Akos is what it's called. He's like this fetus monster angel thing that has like a giant placenta sac that he like fucking goes all over the place with, and
Wow.
he summons like lightning and stuff all over the place. And then there's Sword Saint Ishin, which is from Sekiro, and that dude is a 4-phase boss fight.
Oh my god.
And it's that game. I mean, Sekiro boss fights and Dark Souls boss fights are similar, but also very different from each other. Where like a 4-phase boss fight in Dark Souls could just mean like one health bar, or it could be 4 separate health bars, but usually it's one health bar, and then like halfway through the health bar you get a new phase.
A new little cutscene and yeah.
Yeah, with Sekiro it's 4 separate health bars, and the first phase in that final fight isn't the final boss. It's a completely different dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Spoilers for Sekiro. Go watch that playthrough on my channel. But you fight Genichiro one last time.
Okay.
Genichiro, he's like that your rival through that whole game,
Right.
pretty much. You fight him one last time because he's all like jelly and shit because you got the Mortal Blade.
Right.
And then you beat him, and then he's like, well, I got the other Mortal Blade, and he slits his throat, and then his grandpa comes out of his neck hole like a skin suit.
Nice.
And fucking's like, all right, bitch, let's go. And Ishin, you've heard this whole time talked about, and he's like this legendary sword saint. And then yeah, he's like this insanely nimble dude that brings out like fucking pistols, fast revolving style and stuff like that. Yeah, he's summoning lightning all over the place, and you gotta like sling it back at him and shit. Like that fight's real hard as well. Orphan Acosta is the DLC, and that game, I mean, that it was so hard that when I finally beat that and went to the end boss, I beat the end boss in like 2 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Because at that point you struggled.
Yeah, I was also so leveled up by that point too.
Oh,
where,
true,
like,
yeah.
I just steamrolled him. It was insane. It was like I went to record the final episode of Bloodborne. I was expecting it to be like another hour and a half long because that orphan fight took me like close to that, an hour and a half, 2 hours to get through, which is a long time for me.
Yeah.
And I think the moon spirit or whatever it's called, the moon child. I took out in like 3 or 4 hits.
Wow.
I was just so leveled up.
You're just so OP at that point.
Yeah. Now, I wonder if the Elden Ring DLC will be like that because of how massive it will be. But like, you can't beat one of their games and then go into the DLC. You have to play through the majority of their games or whatever to get to it.
So you do have to be somewhat leveled up, or you're going to be regardless.
Right, and then not only that, it's obtuse to get to these DLCs. Like a lot of people aren't prepared for how out of the way this shit is.
I mean, I maybe before, but I feel like Elden Ring is. There's a handful of side quests that are so out of the way, like the entire meat guys quest. There's like so many unnecessary like things you wouldn't have even guessed to accomplish that.
The prawns,
the prawns, all that, that kind of stuff
with the dung eater and stuff.
The dung eater, not the meat guy. The dung eater. That's what I meant.
Yeah, well, you're right. It's the prawn guy, but the dung eater is the big overarching villain of that quest.
And so I feel like that might help introduce the craziness that the DLC is probably going to make you do to get to it, but who knows?
Maybe.
I mean,
maybe. I don't. If it's just you beat Moog and you have to touch his hand, you touch Mikola's hand or whatever, and you get into it, that will be the easiest thing. And getting to Moog is still so fucking hard.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you still gotta beat the game regularly regardless.
Well, to get to Moog, you have to beat Captain Neil.
Yeah.
And then you get loaded into a side area that has no part of the main path of the game.
Right.
And even then, you only get half the medallion. So, I mean, it's like one of those, the elevator medallions.
Yeah.
So you only get one half of it. If you don't already have the other half, then you got to go back to where this is. But then you get lowered down into it, and the area it lowers you down to is completely fogged. You can't see like an inch in front of you. And you're just supposed to navigate through this stuff.
Right.
And then maybe if you like stayed on the edge of the cliff, you might be able to find like where the little path is along the way. But then you got to find this little path, and then it brings you to a teleport, And then that teleport brings you to an underground location that's nowhere on the map at all, unless
Right.
you remember it from like the beginning of the game of like, hey, that area I've never been to before for some weird reason. But even then, you wouldn't be able to see like where it is. It's just, yeah, you find this little teleport thing, and it finally brings you to this place. And then from there, it's pretty easy. But finding that teleport, it was like, I wouldn't have found that, man.
Yeah, even people that have played that a lot, like I've been watching a lot of people play Elden Ring challenges. Like this one guy does a lot of like Elden Ring, like random object location things. So you have to find like the last one I saw was like all the great ruins or whatever. Like there's seven of them or something.
Yeah.
But they were all randomly dispersed, so you just have to play the game until you find them or whatever. But it was like a speed trot, so he was racing like 3 other people or whatever. It was the first to find all 7 or something.
That's kind of cool.
And even him, one of the things he was trying to get down there to Moog, and he was running through the fog, and was like, I don't know how many times I've done this, and I still get lost doing this sometimes.
You get lost, like it just randomly.
Because there really isn't any marker. Yeah, there isn't a marker or anything. You just kind of have to spawn and hope you go the right way without running into anyone.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of gray on the ground of like where there once was a path,
right?
But then it like disperses all over the place.
And there's still and then the enemies in that area are kind of they just like. They like, appear, right? They're like ghosts or something similar.
They're ghosts, and then they're also the tiny little fucking gargoyle dudes that have like that massive bleed buildup.
Yeah,
so and they'll spawn like 3 or 4 at you.
It's all like surprise enemies. It's not like just some hunkering guy walking around. It's all like apparitions and quick hidden things on top of you being lost.
And then you finally get through that fog, and then it opens up into this giant area, and then from there you're like,
even more vague.
Yeah.
Because it's just like ruins in the snow or whatever.
Yeah, you do see the Halig tree. That's the one giveaway of like, I need to go to the tree because that's where Millennia is.
Right.
Other than that, they don't give you any other location for that area.
Right.
And I'm surprised. I mean, other than people saying Millennia exists, I know people that never found her, but I'm surprised anyone found her that is like in the mainstream, like.
Right.
One, this game is hard as fuck, but then to find her is like a giant pain in the ass to do.
Yeah.
And then Moog is like hidden off somewhere in that area, the teleport to get to him.
Yeah.
So to find him is even more crazy. I think that will probably be the most obtuse it gets. It's not, their DLCs though are fucking crazy. Like with it's just like the endings to their games. They have like 3 decent endings, and they have 1 real ending that is just you wouldn't know. Yeah, like with Bloodborne, you have to eat all 3 of the umbilical cord parts, and then you have to like beat the certain boss. You have to say certain things to certain people and stuff like that.
But you have to do like a certain pose at the end too, or something. There's like a whole like after the end type ceremony.
Yeah, you gotta go find the brain and pose at the brain and then kill the brain.
You have to get the pose.
Yeah, you have to get the pose as well. Sekiro is just like that for the original game as well, where you have to have this dialogue with the rice giver, and then you have to keep going back and forth and getting rice until she's like super sick, and then then you get the main quest from her because she's eventually gonna go with you east. With Bloodborne, it was like you get picked up by an enemy you can't see. You go to a random spot in the courtyard, and there's a bunch of these like giant Cthulhu monster enemies that are all attached to the sides of the buildings and stuff. And you can only see them if you have a certain amount of insight.
Oh, right.
And at that point, you don't have that amount. So you're just like, you gotta like stand in a random spot next to a gravestone, and sometimes it kills you, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
There's no
depends.
giveaway.
Yeah.
I think it might even kill you to get into the DLC.
Oh, okay.
So like sometimes you might just die, sometimes you get in.
You just get sucked in or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also a Bloodborne enemy as well, where like if you get like, I think Dark Souls 3 has this as well, but if like you get kidnapped, then you end up in a whole different part of the map, and then that's a random location that you wouldn't have found any other way unless if you gotten kidnapped.
Yeah, well, it's like those those monsters in Elden Ring that suck you into their
Elden Ring
cage.
has that too. Yeah, right. Yeah, you get kidnapped to underneath Volcano Manor.
Which,
yeah.
I mean, you technically can get there a different way. It's just like a longer way, I think.
Right, but not to that section of Volcano Manor.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's like a whole different... Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be crazy, man. I mean, Dark Souls 1 was just like that as well. Like, there's that Hydra monster in Dark Souls 1. And then behind the Hydra monster, you can, like, walk the side of the wall and go behind him, and there's a portal. And then you can't access the portal right away. You have to, like, do a few things, and then, like, a princess will appear. And then you have to talk to the princess to get into the portal.
Wow.
Yeah. It's very strange.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Dark Souls, I think some people will be right into it. I think a lot of people will be disappointed with how weird it gets.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be the people that have been playing it this whole time since it's been out that are going to be the ones that are like really into it, and then it's going to be the people that played it, maybe they beat it, maybe they played it till they were tired of it, but they're like, well, I gotta play the DLC. They're gonna be the ones that are like, I'm gonna wait till someone figures it out on YouTube or something.
Right.
I mean, that'll probably be me, because I haven't even beat it, and now I'm so far behind, it's not even worth...
Yeah. I'm like... I just hit Commander Neil, or whatever his name is, right before that part.
Yeah.
I burned down the Erd Tree. I haven't done the Ashen Capital yet. That hasn't unlocked. I think that unlocks after Farum Azula is done.
Yeah, because everything has to get covered in
ash. Yeah. So that's pretty much where I'm at, is doing Farum Azula, Commander Neil to get down there. And then I'll have to do the Ashen Capital real quick, which a lot of the bosses in the Ashen Capital are like bullshit chump change. Like, what's his name? Gideon the All-Knowing. You fight him finally.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I just fucking stomped him.
Yeah.
He's some magic user, and then he knows technically every single magic spell, but because he knows every single spell, his AI can't handle it.
Yeah, so it's just
it doesn't
thrown
know what
out
to
whatever.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll throw out like a rot bloom like Millennia, and then throw out like, it'll like cancel mid animation and throw out like rock slings or something. And then it's like, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm just gonna come in here, and I smack him a few times and he's dead. And then I got Horalu, which is the Street Fighter looking dude.
Yeah, the only melee fighter.
Yeah.
Well, hand to hand, I guess, melee.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a cool fight. I watched Kai Cenat do him recently.
Oh yeah, they just dropped that video where he finally plays the whole thing or whatever.
Yeah.
For the first time, but he's not like a gamer like that, so
right,
he like
right.
sucks.
Yeah, he's not good. But
I thought about watching
that's kind of the exciting part of watching him. But he beat Horaloot first try. One shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
In one shot?
In one shot.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, he beat Millennia.
Yeah. Yeah, he beat the whole game.
It took 28 hours for him to beat Millennia or something like that. But he did it. He one-shotted Horaloo. Or not one-shotted as in like one swipe, but he like did it one run.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant.
No.
I thought you meant he just one-shot him.
Oh, no. What? Yeah, no, he just did it in one run.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, there was like money on the line or something.
Mm-hmm.
His friend bet him. He was like, "Yeah, I bet you can't do it in one try."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he did it in one try. It was
That's
nuts.
cool though.
Yeah. I'll probably get to him and die a few times, but I'm gonna try to one shot him. I think I got him on lock.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the easier ones. I've been watching a lot of people. Like I've been watching people do the challenges and stuff, and I want to get back into it again because it is such a fun game.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I really enjoy it. I mean, I think I probably enjoy watching other people play it more, but just because I can do other things at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But I do really like that game.
I'll put on a podcast or whatever while I'm playing and kind of just like do bosses or whatever. Especially now that I'm not recording, I'm just trying to get to where I was. Like, yeah, it's just been like throwing on a podcast while I try to knock out a boss or two and then put it down for a little bit and then come back and forth. I haven't been like playing 8 hours or 9 hours out in one go like I was, but
Right.
I do it in little bits. It's been fun. Well, I think that's a podcast episode. I don't really have any predictions anymore or anything. Did you ever think of another one? Anything else?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna make Borderlands 4.
No, but Take-Two is going to be there. They did.
Yeah.
So that Rockstar thing kind of wasn't out of nowhere, I guess. Where like Take-Two did announce recently, like they are going to be at Summer Games Fest, and they're going to be there with one of their they said most profitable IPs or something, or most notable IPs, and people are like, is this Borderlands or is this BioShock?
I'm hoping it's BioShock.
Yeah. I think that's where we're
That's
leaning.
long overdue.
Yeah.
We don't need another Borderlands, especially after they made that movie or whatever.
Yeah, the
we
movie.
could take a break because I mean, people are still playing Borderlands.
Oh yeah.
Regularly. I mean, it's still.
They're still putting out like stuff for it.
Yeah, exactly. They still drop keys for it all the time and stuff. So like. And they took a while to go from 2 to 3.
Right.
So I could see them taking a little longer and then doing something else. And a new BioShock would be great.
Yeah. Well, they also did like that Tiny Tina Wonderlands in the middle of that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they did.
So
They did that as a kind of filler type thing.
Yeah, I could see maybe a sequel to that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Instead of 4.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, because I'd imagine that team's working on something, and it's been
right.
Tiny Tina Wonderlands was 2020, I think. So it's been a few years.
Yeah.
They definitely have something, but BioShock seems to be what it is.
Yeah.
It's BioShock 4 has been in development. I mean, I've at least since 2015.
Right.
Like it's been being messed around with. So it's definitely long overdue. It's not really, not a prediction, but it's definitely a hopeful like.
I would love that.
Rumor.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be real cool. I mean, I want to see that series go back to horror.
Yeah.
Not everything, as selfish as it is, needs to be horror, but that series is based in that.
Right. They went a little like fantastical RPG, the last one.
And Infinite I think is not good. I do not like Infinite.
No.
And the guy who made Infinite, the creator of BioShock, is making a completely different game. And so that could stay over there.
Right.
I think Judas is what that game's called. It's like BioShock, but it's a roguelike. Is what they're putting it as.
Yeah.
There's a lot of preview footage out for it now.
Yeah. There was that one game that came out recently that was like BioShock-esque.
Well, System Shock.
Huh?
System Shock just came out with a remaster.
No, I don't think that's what it was.
No, probably not. But System Shock is the predecessor of all of it.
What was it though?
Wish
It was
I'd
that game where like there's the hot twin robots that like attack you and
Atomic Heart?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's kind of along that vein of
Yeah, I never ended up playing that game. I did actually my
lot of,
most viewed video
who
was
makes
the
that?
reaction video of that. That was indie dev.
whoever made
It
that,
was
like the
very
main
small
guy
team.
who made it. People were like picking on him because there's a lot of like innuendos in that game
Right.
for things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very horny game, but it's
Yeah.
it's a it's a Russian dev,
Right.
like small dev team. Like I want to say 20 or 30 people, like if that, like very small team. That game got a lot of hype because of its visuals and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I was definitely among those people hyping it up.
Yeah, I
was
remember
excited
playing it
for
when it first came out.
Yeah,
for a
it's
little
never.
bit.
I never ended up getting into it. I don't
Really?
know why.
Yeah, I only played the first little bit, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of like a Bioshock-esque
Yeah.
clone.
Maybe it was hearing you talk about it that was like, man, I don't think I need to hear about it.
Yeah.
Not that I don't need to hear about it. I would love to hear about anything you play, but I don't need to play it because of hearing about it is what I meant to say, because of what you said. But they added DLC to that and stuff too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That they've had a couple of things, so maybe it's on Game Pass, so.
Now that Liza P are out, it actually kind of reminds me a little bit of that too, because it's very similar in the robots kind
Yeah.
of taking over situation. Not
Right.
puppets, but I mean, robots are puppets.
Right, for sure. God, that's a game where we might see DLC for that, man.
Liza P?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, people are still finding things in that game too.
Oh yeah.
And so,
Yeah, they were talking about DLC not too long ago. It was like a couple months ago, so we might be seeing something of that soon.
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, it's what a crazy ending to that game. What
Right.
a weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, the possibilities to the end, what that implies, would be so cool. Now, do they? I think if they do DLC, I don't think they go to whatever the next world.
No, I don't think
is.
they'll introduce a whole completely different world.
Yeah, I just think we're gonna get more of Pinocchio-esque.
Right, but will
stuff.
it also be like somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because the endings are too different that you can't throw it in at the end without it. I mean, you have to alter it completely depending on
Right.
how things ended. So if it was somewhere in the middle, like maybe you off branch to a different.
Right, I think P's story is definitely done.
Yeah.
But the ending of the after credits scene,
Right.
of like him leaving on the train and stuff.
Yeah, maybe there'll be some like in between or something.
Yeah, but then who do you play as?
Yeah, or like maybe there'll be like a intro DLC. Yeah, there's definitely. Maybe you'll play as
Ground Zeroes.
Geppetto.
Oh.
What if you Geppetto it up for like?
Get like a prequel.
Yeah,
DLC.
right. Yeah, like a prequel DLC where you're just Geppetto until you get found or something.
Yeah, also, Geppetto is supposed to be like a bad man in this world. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
But I also think he's kind of a badass. Like I
Right.
think he's out there.
He's like morally
fighting.
ambiguous.
Yeah.
Ambiguous. Ambiguous. That's the word.
Yeah, but that'd be nice too.
Yeah. God, Liza P. What a good game.
Mhm.
That was a good podcast. We'll call it there. It's been a couple hours, right?
It's been a minute, yeah.
Been a minute. We did it. We did the episode, the predictions episode. Yeah, I don't think maybe next week there'll be a showcase, but the week after there's definitely one.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I was gonna bring this up at the top, but it doesn't really matter when I say it. I obtained us one new follower after a comedy show.
Oh, really? Hell yeah.
It was after a show
Shouts out to
this
that
weekend, and we were talking. I was talking with the other guy that headlined with me, and then his friend. he was talking to his friend. He was like, "Oh, I have a podcast," and he was like, "Oh, what is it?" And he like followed. So if you're watching right now, thanks.
Oh yeah, thank
If
you.
you're watching right now, hit the Patreon.
Yeah, do that
Oh,
too.
I need to make that.
Email me some cash if you're watching right now. Remember all those funny jokes I said?
Yeah.
Remember that the USPS exists. You can mail us some money.
Yeah, mail us $20.
There is links down below. There is the Pokemon store. I do have that. Patrick does have his shirts. Go buy some of his shirts. Links
Or
to
all
follow-
of them. Buy them
Or
all.
all of them. Links to follow us are all down below as well. All of that stuff. You find out where Patrick is doing shows. Go stalk him. Go buy tickets. Also, you'll see when I post videos. Maybe it'll be daily. Maybe it'll be every 2 weeks. Who knows? Apparently, this last time it's been 2 weeks, and time flew by. But I'll have that Elden Ring trailer reaction out as soon as possible. I gotta record that first. Until then, it's been fun, guys. It's been real. Peace out, Cub Scouts. Bye.